This. What's up, guys? G here. Welcome back to another video. Well, a live stream actually. Today, gonna be covering Polestar. Got some good stuff to share with you guys. Well, a good update video. Low-key bearish short. Live stream actually. Oh, I got the backup video just to make sure the audio came through. All right, my bad. Okay, so yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. Please hit the like button to support the channel, the video, Polestar. Share it with your friends, and if you guys are watching this later, please share this out as well. I've got an update on Polestar, and we're going to talk about, I found a good article that's basically breaks down the good advantages and risks and stuff, pros and cons. And so these are just things I want you guys to consider if you guys are investing in it. And then also I kind of want to talk about the chart because there is a little bit of, I think we're at an important level here, 578, around this range here. And so I want to give you guys my predictions going forward. And then there's also some end of the month news. So I want to kind of talk about that as well. So please consider hitting the like button for me and subscribe to the channel for more videos. Let me know what other kind of videos you want to see on the channel, and I'll try to get those out for you guys or cover them in a live stream or something. So we are down about 2% for the day. We had a high of 635. I'm pretty sure that was towards the open of the day. Since CPI came out lower than expected, we basically moved up. Everything moved up and then just basically sold off throughout the day. But here's one thing. We did close towards the end of the low, or the day's range, 572. We closed towards the end of that. So low-key bearish. But like I said, we'll cover the charts in just a bit. Let me first talk about this article that I came across. It's a strong contender in 2023. So basically, a quick summary. This EV market has performed poorly for much of 2022 due to supply chain issues and quantitative tightening. So just not Polestar in general, but most of the market in the EV sector, they are doing pretty bad. Tesla, NIO, Lucid, a lot of these startup EVs and more legacy EVs, I guess, since Tesla's been doing it for a while. A lot of these are basically in a downtrend for a while, for most of 2022. Polestar is on track to meet its goals for 2022 despite semiconductor shortages and lockdowns in China. So a lot of this stuff is very important because we had pre-existing contracts and everything, so that did help mitigate some of the supply chain for Polestar on its own. And then even though we did have some lockdowns, they were able to navigate through some of that. So these are just a quick summaries. And then also more importantly, they did report their gross profit for Q3, and even if everything wasn't the best, they do have major support from their shareholders. So like I mentioned in one of the last videos, they had a fundraiser, or not a fundraiser, but a capital raise where they were able to get more money so they can continue operations. And then lastly, we still have Geely and Volvo, basically their network and resources. So that puts them a little bit ahead of some of the other competition, or at least some of the startups like Lucid and some of the other ones, right? Not obviously Tesla, but I do want to dive a little deep into this one and just talk a little bit about the details in here. And I think you'll want to watch through the entire video just so you guys get a full overall perspective of what I'm seeing and how I'm feeling towards the stock and what I'm seeing towards 2023. And then we'll definitely take a look at the charts. So one thing that I want to point out is 58% since the SPAC in June. And June's a very important month in general because, and I'll mention this later, but December, we do have I think a lockup expiration or unlock of shares. So I do think in the short term we could be bearish, but like I said, we'll cover that shortly. But like I said, also many of the manufacturers have been in a downtrend, so it's not just specifically Polestar. And you can see the Q3 earnings, that demonstrated that they are becoming a big player in the arena. So even though everything's been in a downtrend, stock doesn't reflect, they've been doing pretty good as far as deliveries and numbers like that. So I think that's pretty important. And basically, I guess, outperforming other speculative EV stocks, right? So we've got Lucid, Mullen, and some of these other ones. So I think that's important. EV market downturn, like I said. A lot of the established manufacturers have been taking a hit. Even some like Ford and well, here's a full list actually. Lordstown, Canoe, Nikola, all these basically gave a bad name to basically all these SPACs gave a bad name to Polestar, because Polestar, when they merged, SPACs were basically, you already had like a bad taste in the mouth. Lordstown, Canoe, Nikola, some of these other like overvalued, non-profitable or non-pre-revenue companies, they basically ruined it for the rest of us, basically. So by the time Polestar was doing their SPAC deal, people were tired of SPACs. They were afraid of SPACs. So a lot of people weren't too interested in SPACs at the time. So Polestar didn't get the same love. I think it was just like late to the party, if that makes sense. So that's one thing that kind of stuck around, and that's why Polestar never really had like a good rip compared to some of the other SPAC deals like ChargePoint and what's another one, metamaterials, or not metamaterials, MP materials. There's a few different SPACs that did perform well. Or SoFi, I mean, that thing went to, $20, almost $30, I think. So yeah, just unfortunately didn't happen with Polestar. They came into the show, the SPAC stuff, on the downtrend of the SPAC deals, so people try to avoid those at that time. But just in general, even though Polestar has came down about 58%, a lot of these others have dropped dramatically too, right? So Lucid had a huge run, but by now it's down 54% under their SPAC deal as well. So this used to be $50, came down to $20, and now it's under $10. And originally the SPAC was $10. Fisker, I don't even want to talk about that one, or Lordstown, because I think those will probably go bankrupt. But and then NIO, I think it's decent, but there's too much controversy with China there, so we'll stay away from that. One thing I wanted to cover though is this semiconductor shortage. So this is something important because, like I said, Polestar was like they have Volvo and what's the other one? Geely. They have like pre-existing contracts, so there was a lot of demand for new vehicles and stuff, but then the supply or the shortage came for semiconductors. So a lot of these startups weren't able to get their semiconductors, but Polestar had existing legacy contracts, and they were able to get those into their cycle and stuff. This does not look like the article I was reading. Let me read through really quick. How's everybody doing tonight, though? Everybody good? Shoot. This is definitely not the article I was reading earlier. all right, let's go. Let's see. We might have just messed up this whole video. I was gonna try to run it in one take, but it looks like we're gonna have to take a breath, just chill, relax. So the reason I try to do it in one take is so people watching it later, they're like, there's not too much downtime, but that's not gonna happen tonight. They're gonna have to go through the dead moments. Yeah, okay, so here we go. I skipped it. I completely. Polestar credits its relationship with Volvo and Geely for helping to navigate supply chain tightness, since the company so far has not been impacted by rising semiconductor costs due to contractual arrangements, right? However, these prices change are expected to affect us few. Yeah, so at that time, they had existing contracts, but now looking forward, this is like a risk going forward. If semiconductors like stay expensive, the idea is inflation is going to come down and demand is going to come down and semiconductors are going to come down, right? That's what Powell's trying to do, trying to tame inflation, try to cut down demand and all that. And so that should help mitigate one of these risks. But if it doesn't, then it could affect their Q4 earnings, because that would cut down on margins and stuff, right? Because their contracts, I guess, would say, let's just say, are expired, or they would have to renew them, and so their new contracts would be at the new the new price or whatever. So that is something that they didn't previously get affected, and that's why I think they were performing pretty well. But now that they're renewing these, they're going to be paying what everybody else is paying, right? So financially may have not been affected, but the company was forced to adjust to semiconductor. Oh, this is going on. So yeah, so looking forward, semiconductors could be a little more expensive, and that could affect their Q4 earnings. But on top of that, I guess, even though they didn't get affected financially, this is a good thing, right? Polestar, they weren't affected financially, and they also pivoted. So they changed some of the specs on some of the different models, like the P2. They changed the pilot pack, and they reduced some features and stuff to accommodate for some of that. So that was good, part of the management and just Polestar as a company, that they did that. So I think that was good. Yeah, and so they were working hard to mitigate the shortages impact, prioritize semiconductors where possible. Yeah, exactly. So good management. I think that's a pro. The risk here is definitely like going forward is continuing to do that and rising. If the prices don't come down, demand stays the same and prices don't come down, then then it will become a factor because there's still a semiconductor shortage. However, there are showing signs of relief in the automotive sector. Polestar is confident that it's experiencing deals or experience dealing with the issue over the past 2 years has put it in an excellent position moving forward. Its ability to largely remain on schedule and ramp up production despite the lockdowns and stuff. So a lot of variables here actually. So not only is semiconductors a thing, also the lockdowns, which are like unpredictable, honestly, like China locks down and unlocks down, and yeah, unpredictable, very volatile over there in that economy right now. But they're pretty confident that they'll continue to work through these logistics and everything and meet the targets for everybody's expectations as shareholders. And I mean, you've already seen that in the numbers, not just talk, but they also delivered. So that's doing way much more than some of these other companies, Rivian, Lucid, right? We just talked about those a little bit. So that's pretty much going to cover semiconductors. So maybe let me run back down through this if people are still watching this video. So I really just wanted to talk about why Polestar is a strong contender for next year, but there's definitely risks and just different things to consider, right? So pros and cons. And the first thing we talked about was maybe in the price it doesn't reflect everything that they've done, but that's just because the market like started going on a downturn, right? You can see that with all the SPACs and everything. And then also when they did do their IPO, they did it through a SPAC, which just had a bad taste in their mouth and stuff. So that also affected like investor enthusiasm and people trying to buy into Polestar thinking it might be, you know, the next Lordstown or something, right? So without doing like due diligence and stuff, people would just stay away from it. Then I wanted to talk about like the risk and stuff first, like semiconductor shortages and stuff. But I think that, you know, if demand comes down and prices don't escalate, then that shouldn't affect their next quarter and stuff, because that's what Powell's doing. But then again, this is something they haven't experienced because previously they already had existing networking and contracts with Volvo through that network and stuff, right? So I think that's a good recap of that. Let's move on to the next one. Now I think we're on target. Lithium batteries and stuff. This is the same thing. I'm going to skip through that. Supply chain, just more little things, right? So just supply chains and all that logistics things. So far, his decision to manufacture in China has been Polestar's biggest obstacle. And so, like I said, China's economy is just very volatile right now. Shutdowns in China, they open, they shut down. Same thing with their batteries. So where's the batteries? Same thing with all their battery companies, like CATL of China. And these battery modules are PSNY suppliers lithium ion battery modules are CATL of China. So these were being shut down too, right? So it wasn't just Polestar's factories, but also the battery factories that they were shutting down. So like a double whammy kind of thing, right? So those are risks, right? But they're trying to actually branch out of that. So led the company to cut its expected deliveries by 20. This is a very good point here. This is bullish, I think. Polestar recently shared that they had not been for these lockdowns, the company would have easily exceeded their vehicle targets, which was I think 65,000. So if it wasn't for all this volatility in China, then I think they would have, you know, been able to get those targets. At least according to the company, they're very confident that they could get that done. Also, they are like pivoting a little bit from China. I think in the last live stream I said they're just doing the Polestar 3 in South Carolina, but if this article is correct, it looks like the Polestar 3 and 4 will be built out in South Carolina. So that does give us a nice window there, for at least 2 years, where they're trying to build 2 different models out in South Carolina. So I think that's very good. Whereas I originally thought it was just the Polestar 3. But I do know that initially I think they're going to start the P3 in China and eventually branch it out into South Carolina. So that's like smaller detail, but I think so in the short term, I think China's still Polestar is very dependent on China and what they're doing in the back end. But you know, we'll have a nice window of 2 years, I think, where we're more dependent on what's going on here, and that could definitely bring some optimism. So Volvo and Geely, seems unlikely that China will be able to draw its zero policy on lockdowns and stuff. Yeah, okay. I don't really remember what I was talking about all this. I was going to say, this is kind of off topic and stuff, but I think a lot of these companies like Volvo, right, committed to become fully electric by 2030. Geely trying to do the same thing, where it's itself stated goals by 50% by 2023. I'm thinking here, Volvo and Geely both own a piece of Polestar. Let's say worse was to come or something happened. Wouldn't it be crazy if one of these guys buys out the other guy, right? So Volvo decides to buy out Geely's half of Polestar and then maybe just acquires Polestar for itself, or vice versa. I think Volvo would probably do it before Geely to Volvo, just because Volvo's and Polestar's infrastructure, the car models, and just the style looks similar. So I would think that's like a safeguard, maybe possibility. At some point, if Volvo can't get everything going for their electric sector, then maybe they just buy out Polestar from Geely, their half of it or whatever. So that was just an interesting thought. I thought about this because they're both trying to get to electric by 2030 or whatever. And yeah, if that doesn't happen though, Polestar is still going to benefit from their resources and everything at the very least, I think. Right, so this emphasis on manufacturing EVs will benefit Polestar due to improved access to Geely, Volvo supply networks, facilities, and connections. So I think we're positioned pretty well. The only thing with Polestar is they don't really own anything like physical, like assets. Like they don't have any factories and stuff. So that's a pro and con. Like pro is they don't have to spend on any of that. Con is like they don't have anything to leverage with, right? So that was big, I think, in my opinion. Let me see legislation. I don't think I care about that. I'm gonna run down to what was it? This article looks way different than when I was reading it earlier. Oh, there's a good one. This I might be skipping some important things. Actually, there's a good thing up here. So the pro about Polestar here, this just basically pro is, I mean, they've been launching everywhere: U.S., China, Canada, Belgium, Germany, UK, Sweden. You got, the list goes on and stuff. But I guess the bad side is company appears to be on track for aggressive expansion as it begins marketing, in Austria, Denmark, some of these other ones. But with this is gonna, take more of a toll on their cash burn and stuff because they gotta do marketing and stuff. But it is very ambitious of them. So I think in a different economy that would just be all bullish thesis, right? But right now this is like kind of in the middle. It's good and it's kind of bad because it comes with risk, right? Well, let's say they do marketing and stuff and it doesn't really hit off or take off like it is, then they really did burn, resources and efforts and money into that market specifically. But based on cities chosen for service centers. But I mean, I guess at the end of the day, I mean, they've got to establish these things for the service and retail stores and stuff. So, but I mean, there's a smart way of doing it. Maybe slower than such aggressive. I would say maybe not be so aggressive, but I don't know. That's just my opinion. Maybe like it's good to be ambitious and have 20 different markets you want or 30 different markets you want, but maybe slice that in half because the unforeseeable future, what's coming up with the economy and stuff, or what people are talking about. Maybe just be a little more conservative is all I would say. That's me, but that's a risk and a pro, I think. So one thing I like about Polestar though is I think they're trying to compete with some of these like more expensive luxury vehicles and stuff, but at the same time they're keeping their electric vehicle market pretty cheap. So even though they're up here with the big guys, Taycan, Tesla, Plaid, Lucid Air, like more luxury stuff, they're trying to keep their price as low as they can, right? So it's only 29% higher than the average price of EV cars. So like your average Chevy or Kia and stuff, the Polestar is not too much expensive. So they are trying to do that where they can at least leverage their pricing a little bit. And I was reading, I think in this article, if Polestar is able to price its vehicles competitively as ambitiously moves to release one new vehicle each year, then it can target a larger portion of the EV market. There's also a thing that's like really good. I think this is it right here. Let me see. No, it's not that. There was one thing on here that I really liked, but I can't find it. I guess if I find it, I'll talk about it. How's everybody doing though? Let me take a little break for a car manufacturer. Okay, this is good too, I guess. I mean, I don't want to really talk about this, but I guess it's important. Polestar hasn't really done any recalls. They've only done like 8,000 cars recalls, where I think, yeah, issued 2 recalls affecting only 8,000 vehicles. While it's not unusual for a car manufacturer to issue recalls, especially for early models, it is a significant hurdle which can shake confidence in many investors. So they haven't done so many. So that's a pretty good advantage over some of the other ones. There was one thing I wanted to share, but I can't. It's like in the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember it. I guess let's talk about the financials. This is good and bad. The earnings was good, right? Everybody I think liked the earnings because I think they got a gross profit of 4 million, but then like that 300 and something listing charge was like what affected their cash for that 1 quarter. Where is it? So they've got good percentage in revenue increase and stuff, but where's the numbers? Guess I can't find it. They don't have the numbers. This article changed up on me, guys, I swear. Despite miss saw revenue, yeah. Okay, I can't find the numbers, but basically they burned a lot of cash, and I think a lot of people were scared. But that's because of that 300 or 400,000, $400 million thing. But I believe with the shareholder financing and everything that we got, plus the cash on balance already, like I said, we're projected to continue operating until 2023. And I guess that comes with the pro and con, like I was saying earlier. I guess there's good demand right now and everything, but if that changes, then maybe they don't get their goals and maybe they don't become profitable. So where is the thing? Ramp up into 2023. Yeah, okay, so here it is. Before I go into the cash burn and stuff, increasing production will also contribute to its cash burn, especially as PSNY begins to reflect price increase in some critical components such as semiconductors and lithium batteries. But even with this funding secure, investors should focus on the cash burn, production numbers, and consumer demand. So these are big things, right? Cash burn, production numbers, and consumer demand. Cash burn is basically going to be related to semiconductors and lithium batteries. If these things continue to go, then they might not become profitable at 2025 or 2020. When do they become profitable? I forgot. But that's why this is a risk. But if demand does come down and semiconductors come down, then that'll kind of help mitigate some of that downside or risk. And then numbers, production numbers, you want to be able to make sure that, you know, there's still demand, because that's another reason that maybe they don't get their goals and targets and stuff, right? If they don't get their demand. So currently, Polestar has a strong advantage thanks to strong demand. They're working double time first half of 2022. They had 50,000 already secured deals with Hertz and Uber. And then they're going to do the 2022, the Polestar 2 in 2023 and the Polestar 4 next year. Yeah, but saying that Thomas says that he does not have no doubt because consumer demand will be there. Rather his focus is being able to deliver. So that's very bullish, but things can definitely change, right? In the economy. They really restructured this article, so now I can't. I can't. I'm trying my best, y'all. As it begins production, we're just gonna have to go to the downside. Because I remember seeing a lot of this stuff. Here's the damn delisting I was talking about earlier. Okay, so maybe I was supposed to skip the entire thing and just come straight here. Yeah, PSNY is targeting 2.4 billion in revenue for full year, having generated 1.4 so far. If they achieve that, that's 77% year-over-year growth. They're handling their cash well, their cash burn well, having increased its profit from 1 million in the first 9 months to 57 in 2022. However, total cash being operated, you know, that went from 1.02 billion, which was like over the last year 155. But like I said, a lot of that was largely to that 372 million share listing charge. So that's what people were worried about, I think. This is the bearish side. This is the risk here. I will be watching order numbers coming in for signs of weakness, right? Which could spell danger for Polestar down the line. So that's like the risk that I'm talking about. Like if consumer demand changes a bit, even though Polestar and Thomas emphasize that there's none of that. things change economically, right? So that's definitely a risk. So, going back to those three things at the top: cash burn, consumer demand, production numbers, right? They want to be able to produce the stuff by having enough material and stuff. They want to be able to sell the stuff by having enough demand, and they want to be able to like manufacture everything efficiently so they don't burn all their cash away. So that's a good way to explain that, I think. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the risk here. I guess I've already been talking about risks and stuff, but this is gonna kind of wrap everything up, I think. Um, so one thing is gonna be definitely like just establishing a market share, because a lot of these bigger names, Ford, General Motors, some of these other ones, they already have like legacy and power, like just a lot of spending power. Just they can leverage their whatever they have, their any assets and stuff, and get loans or just collect debt and build out and just expand faster, right? That's for Ford, GM, even Tesla technically, right? Whereas Polestar doesn't have that. So it's going to be harder for them to compete against giants like this, right? So that's one like definitely risk, right? If Polestar is unlikely to outcompete these giants, they can success. Oh, if they Okay, I'm sorry. Polestar is unlikely to outcompete these giants if they successfully break into the luxury EV market where Polestar is working to capture market share. So that's just like the risk that I'm saying. Like these guys, like not specifically Ford and General Motors, but more like BMW, Mercedes, those are luxury vehicles. Even like some of the top tier Tesla models and stuff, those are going to be hard to compete with. So that's one, if they can't actually compete with that market, it's going to be difficult for them. Additionally, inflationary pressures are likely to affect consumer decision, so they're gonna have to, campaign and really drive marketing and stuff. So that's gonna cost more marketing spending and stuff. Yeah. So just a lot of risk. Alternatively, and this is the bullish side, right? 290,000 vehicles targets for break even by 25. That's a pretty ambitious goal, but if they can do it, it's gonna be bullish. But on the different side, if like demand remains too strong and supply chains don't improve, then that's going to affect their numbers and deliveries, and then that would make customers basically get to a different model or vehicle or company. This is what I was talking about marketing here. In the US, Polestar is competing with well-established names, extensive legacies, so they're going to spend a lot of money, marketing costs, as it attempts to establish itself globally. And so just something that some of the other competitors don't really have to do, but Polestar needs to build that reputation still, because one model is not enough, right? Like for example, Kia, it took forever for them to become like who they are today, I guess. I still wouldn't drive a Kia, but I'm just saying, it took me a while for them to, it took them a while for them to get acknowledged, for real. But I guess the takeaway, this is a good one. This is the thing I was talking about earlier. One of Polestar's greatest risks is the possibility that its major shareholders will withdraw funding. Okay, let me start up here actually, because this is good. As the company's semiconductor battery agreements come to an end, right, so their contracts, they will be exposed to potentially higher component costs, right, because now they're going to renew their contracts. If the supply chains issues drag on, this will affect its financial growth and ability to retrofit cars and with pilot package features, right? So, but I think they can still do good. I mean, they did that with by removing some features and stuff. They just won't be able to like put those features back on, which will be a downside, but that's like minimal. It's just something they have to deal with. One of Polestar's greatest risks is the possibility its shareholders will withdraw funding. So they recently just financed like new money through Volvo and PSD investment to help them continue operating, and we've talked about that in many different live streams. But basically, one thing is here that I like about Polestar is they went this route where they went and got funding that way, which without doing it that way, they would have probably diluted the shareholders. So I don't think they're diluting shareholders, right? One thing to note though, and this is kind of important, is the share lockup period will end in December, and this is what I was talking about. June was pretty big because it's like 180 days, and this is probably gonna not get remembered, but 180 days from June. So I think at the end of December there's gonna be like more share lockup expirations, and so people are gonna be able to sell their shares if they want to get out. So just depending on how many people do their insider selling and stuff, Polestar could definitely see more another drop in December. So me personally, like, I'm gonna stay, or well, I'll talk about the chart in a bit, but I'm gonna wait a little bit, just be patient to see where it goes before adding more shares and stuff. So I think though, like, I know that sounds bearish, but I think the takeaway, right, 2023 should be a good year if, you know, continued demand is strong, the supply chain situation gets improved, and then production of the new facility in South Carolina removes some of those dependencies with China. And then I guess unlike any other vehicles and stuff, Polestar already has like hella cars in the road and stuff. So I think that's good. I might just cut this short, but that's what it is, right? The things to watch though is definitely going to be their cash burn and stuff, and make sure that demand stays there. And then just look out for the shareholders. But let me read the believe it's one of the I believe Polestar is one of the very few competitive pure EV play manufacturers in the EV market. Very few of the few competitive pure EV. So yeah, what do you guys think? I've just been talking a lot, huh? Expected to last until the yeah. So they continue operating until 2023. So sorry, this article wasn't that clean. I read it, and then I thought presentation was gonna be good, and it wasn't. So given that the share, so this is the main thing here. The bearish thing is December share lockup set to end in December. So investors should wait for possible insider selling to push the stocks down. As Polestar gives back much of the gains it made following its beat during the earnings call and stuff, their last earnings. So there's a gap down here at 509, 456. So that's what we're looking at actually. But damn. I appreciate you guys hitting the like video or hitting the like on the video. Let's talk about the chart now. There's one other article, but I think you guys are falling asleep on me. I'm just gonna quickly go through this. I think I showed you guys this last time. Polestar looks considerably cheaper than Lucid, Rivian, and yeah. We'll save this for another video, man. People are falling asleep on me. If you guys have questions, let me know in the comments. I've already gone 32 minutes. Fuck. Okay, so what did we talk about last time? So like the article was saying, we have a gap down here, which is like from 460 to like low fives, and that's the area that people are probably waiting for because of the December lockup stuff. So at the end of December, or I'm not sure exactly the date, but it's 180 days from the day we listed, which I think was June's, like, wasn't it mid-June or something? You'll have to look it up, but from that day, then people can start selling. So I would let for that stuff to kind of cool off and just let the dust settle, basically. The levels that I'm watching is this trend line here, basically. So we talked about, let me just wrap it up here for you guys. So looking at the chart, we had a downtrend here, and we finally like consolidated here, and we broke out following this nice uptrend. And this is one that we were watching, and we basically broke it. So now once we broke it, we started selling off, and now the trend that we're watching is this trend here. And so I think in the next couple days it's going to be important for us to see. I'm just going to extend this trend line here. So if we break this trend, then we're most likely gonna, which I think we probably will, just based on the economy and stuff, and how, if Powell's bearish, then we're gonna break it for sure, and people are gonna buy or fill the gap here, and people are gonna sell their shares once the lockups expires. So I'm most likely like low-key feeling bearish, but if Powell's bullish or something and something comes up, then we could bounce off of here and continue going to the upside. We'll start with like 698, like this level being here at the support. But honestly, I think in the short term, just with the lockup stuff, which I just like we just talked about today, I completely forgot about the lockup stuff. I'm low-key feeling bearish in the short term, but possibly fill the gap. So me personally, I'm gonna just wait to see what happens like next couple days, and if we break trend, I'm just gonna be patient and just wait to see if I can get cheaper shares. But I don't want to be all bearish. Like I said, if we hold this support, then we go up. Momentum looks to be trending bullish on the 4-hour, and then we could possibly cross the MACD. So this is one thing that this is the scenario that I'm thinking. I think we break through the trend, and then I think what's gonna happen is gonna be the signal's gonna be here, and then the MACD is gonna hit and get rejected, and we'll probably see more downside like this, and then we'll probably see something like that. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking. But if we bounce off of this, then the MACD is gonna cross. So then it would basically cross from here and cross the signal, right? So and then we could be bullish, and that's why I'm saying we could go straight up. So I think the next few days are important to see where we at here, and then we go from there. And then from a bigger time picture, I think you can still say we have, I mean, this still looks like an inverse or a cup and handle, as long as we don't break this support here, right? So that makes sense, right? As long as we don't break this ascending support or this 750, 770 area, then we can bounce off, and then it's still a cup and handle technically, right? And then if we can break out of like, what is it, like $8, then we can definitely start gassing, right? So that's one scenario. The other one is with the inverse head and shoulders, which we have, where is it at? Something like this. And then it would be like something like that, and then this would be kind of a bullish pattern too, right? This would be an inverse head and shoulders. And so that's why I say, like, I think this level right now that we're at right now, I think that's a pretty important level. 570, I would think, 550, this range here, which we seem to be holding, but me personally, I think we're gonna break underneath it and come fill the gap, and then you can see the MACD still has more downside, and then bearish momentum on the daily. So on the daily, let me recap this thing again. Sorry. On the daily, bearish momentum, MACD has a little bit more downside. So I'll be watching the trend here. If we break, then more downside already in bearish momentum. Shorter time frame, same thing. I mean, if we support that, then we can definitely cross over and go up higher. So I think that's really all I have. It does look bullish though. Let me see. Let's see. What's up, Brandon? Let me see. I got a question here. I'm still very new to all this, but I appreciate all your input on everything. I'm working on getting to learn charts so I can not just make money even things are in the green. I'm working on getting to learn charts so I can not just make money even things are in the green, but in the rear also. That's facts though. Are you trading like, how do you, I'm confused a little bit though. I mean, like, that's facts, but then I'm also confused a little bit. If you want to help me explain a little bit. The downtrend this downtrend looks to be broken. That's why there is hope left in the chart, I think. This is like a downtrend that we're trying to fight out of, but this is like the area that I'm looking at. Oh, and the red also. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, so I guess you trade options and stuff, which is, or I don't think you short stock, right? I'll never short stock because it's, if there's like a short squeeze or something, you can blow your account up. Yeah, I'm trying to break down. Honestly though, I take a lot of L's though, so I just try to show my side and what I see, and then a lot of things don't play out, and then some things play out. But I think this area for Polestar is like important. If we break the trend, then we're gonna basically, like, you know, when we had this trend here, once we broke it, we started selling off, and there was like confirmation that there was no buying pressure. So basically started selling off. And then it just stayed underneath this trend line. But that's what I'm saying. We're kind of bullish. We could be bullish because we're getting outside of this downtrend, and we're holding this uptrend. So if we can like just get some good news or something, then we can break back up. But on the downside, if we fall underneath this and then get back underneath this, then it's just going to possibly fill the gap here because there's no support around this area, right? And then just on some of these other indicators I have, bearish sentiment. The MACD is actually bullish, so that's one of the things that kind of supports this uptrend that possibly could happen. And then I think it's almost bullish on the 4-hour, where if it can cross over, then there's hope for sure. So, man, I hope I did a good job today because I was not prepared. But I think the pattern is definitely there, and then possibly retest that for a cup and handle. The pattern is definitely there. Cup, possibly a handle, and then if we break through that, then we'd go like pretty high. Honestly, we could go high. We'd go up. I mean, we could go up to like $11 or $12. But I would just wait. I would wait for Powell and stuff to talk about the market and what he's looking for next year, and if there's any pauses and how he's gonna work in bringing down inflation and stuff. Let me add. Yeah, let's watch the crossover here for possible crossover MACD here, potential there, and then bullish momentum, but that can actually flip, right? So it looks like it, like for example, back here, it looked like it was getting bullish momentum, right? Like right here, and then it fell back underneath, right? So it was just consolidating. So right now it looks like we're just consolidating. Like there's another good example where it looked like we're changing trend, and then we just consolidated and came back down further. So we could just be building up and then gonna come back down. Dang. But yeah, I think that's gonna wrap up the video. I'll do a options video later, or not later, but probably tomorrow. What's today? Tuesday? Yeah, I'll go live tomorrow, I think, and we'll talk a couple stocks. Let me talk about SPY actually, because SPY is technically bullish still. Like I hate to say it because I have puts, but SPY is technically still bullish because we're still in this uptrend here. And then towards the end, I think we're breaking back out, which is ridiculous. So we have the trend there, and it looks like we're going back up above. But yeah, so I think tomorrow for Powell and stuff, we'll probably go up for Powell, and then once Powell talks or something, we could come back down, and we could possibly do a double top there or something. And this looks like a cup and handle. It could be a cup and handle. Hey, what's up? So that's gonna wrap up the video for this one, and then we're gonna do actually I'll do the stock market video in just a bit because I got trippy on here. So I appreciate those that yeah, that would be great because I don't understand options at all. Yeah, we'll do a video. We'll talk about options. Well, I won't. Yeah, we'll do a video, and you can ask some questions there. But I'm gonna sign out. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Shout out to Brandon for staying in the chat with me. I'm gonna see you guys in the next video, and thanks for supporting the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.